Welcome to the second part of the tutorial for how to make the newscaster using the RTP and a little bit of our own ingenuity. In the first part, I showed you how to make the cityscape, and I showed you how to make the television. So here's our basic television that we made, and our cityscape. There's the cityscape that we made. And so today we're going to put them together, and we're going to do the animation. And so what we need is from MV is we need our actor. And MV comes with this character generation tool. It's pretty easy to use. And basically I just went down and I chose, male hairstyle. I thought it would be nice for a newscaster, a man in a suit, and there you have it. And all you need to click on is the walk character and export it as a PNG file, and that's what you're going to open up in your photo editing software. In this case, I am using Photoshop. I have my newscaster here, and what I'm going to try to do is when I do RTP edits, I like to break apart pieces of the character to see what I can use, play with them a little bit, see what poses I can make with what's already existing. And since I'm going to have a character behind a desk, it's pretty easy. I already know I'm not going to need much of this character at all. I'm not even probably going to see the lower half. The arms are going to be resting. So what I noticed right away was I just need this sprite here. I need a central sprite. And I also realized that these hands, when they take a step, they look like they're resting on a desk. So I imagined there's a desk here, and I'm like, oh, you know what? That would really work. So I made a copy of this character and erased everything except for the hand. So just to give you an example, all right, I have the lone sprite. Then I have the right arm, which I got from the other sprite, and just flipped it around, and now I have a left arm. So I have a left and I have a right arm that I can work with. All right. Now, where did I get the news desk from? Well, that's pretty simple. When you're in your RPG Maker MV, you can open up and export any of the tile sets. So this tile set inside A2 has this very nice table. All I did was copy this into my new layer here, into my thing here. And now I have a really giant desk. And then to resize it, I'll put my grid on so I'll make sure I am somewhat even. I just took the top half and I kind of scaled it down a little bit, brought it closer, and I got something like that. And I'm also keeping in mind that, since the character is going to be behind the desk, I'm not going to see this. The TV is going to cut some of it out. It's going to crop it out. So I positioned my desk where I wanted it to be. Maybe that's too low. That's probably a good height for it. Then I said, okay, let's take a look at those arms, the left arm and the right arm. All right. I'm going to make sure that my desk is underneath all those. Here's my left arm. All right. Boom. I mean, I could just put it here and it looks decent. Right arm, same thing. I could put it here and it looks decent. So if I zoom out, it looks like he has his hands above the desk. In the GIF I showed you earlier, I didn't have anything else on the desk. But keep in mind, you can do that as well. Inside C, I believe this is C, you could probably, let's say, wanted to use one of the coffee cups. All right, I want to use one of the coffee cups. Alright, and I'm going to bring that into this composition. Boom. And you have a coffee cup. Or maybe, newscasters have their papers on their desks that they're reading the news stories about. We have that too. And all I'm doing is copying and pasting it inside my new document as a new layer, making sure it's set above, and there you go. So you can have some fun and take creative liberties with that. I'm just going to minimize all this, minimize all that. If you feel like the left and right arm weren't working, because you can still see these arms right here, well then you can still go back and you can erase them, So we're going to pretend that these were chopped off. They're not connected to our character. Here's the right arm, here's the left arm. Let's see, where did the left arm go? Yep. Okay. Looks a lot weirder now though. And then I'd have to probably adjust the sprite. Make him come down a little bit. It almost looks like he's holding on for dear life. Do some minor edits. If his shoulder's here, bring that up a little bit. Then use the blues inside just to kind of fill things in. I changed the outline, the shape, that type of thing. So just comparing now, it looks like he's wearing a shoulder pad. That's too thick. Zooming out. So let's try that. Yeah, much better. And so then I would do the same thing on the other side, right? So if you manually wanted to do it that way. So once I had my composition, what I usually like to do is make a composite. And to make the composite, all right, let's bring back the, I apologize because I had all this stuff done beforehand, because I did it before. And just for sake of consistency, let's duplicate the left arm, like we did here. Let's flip it on the horizontal. Let's get rid of that right arm. This left arm copies the new right arm. Put it up against there. Much better. All right. So to make a composite, all right, you can select what you want with the marquee tool, or you can do Control A, selects everything that's visible. But what you're going to do is you're going to hold Control, Shift, and C at the same time. What that does is it takes a snapshot of all the visible layers. And then Control V will paste it into a new layer. And usually when I make a composite, I call it Composite. Okay, and then I'm just going to get rid of everything else that I had before. All my sprites. Look at our cityscape right there. How nice it is, and what it's going to look like behind our character. Okay. Now, what we need to do is we need to set up the animation. The animation that we're going to do is going to be 3 frames. So if you remember what a character sheet looks like, or a tile sprite sheet, all right, you're going to have 3 tiles across, 4 tiles down for the different directions. And the way we're going to animate it is through a stepping animation, which means it's going to show the first frame, the second frame, the third frame, and then it repeats the second frame. So it goes 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 2. So there's going to be a frame in the middle that gets repeated. Okay? So one of the things I wanted to do was I wanted to make sure my animation was correct at the full scale before I reduce it. Because if you look at the blank TV, okay, it's a little weird if they use this as your framing comparison. All right, so we're going to have to reduce it to fit inside our TV. All right, and editing after that point is going to be very difficult. So what I wanted to do was I created what I called my frames. And I decided, you know what? The only thing I really need to animate is this guy's face. Okay? I'm not going to have him move his arms. I'm just going to have him move his mouth. Okay? So just taking a copy of his head. Let's zoom in here. Just taking a copy of his head, and we'll turn off the cityscape so it's not as distracting. So here's frame 1, and it's just his basic head. Frame 2 is going to get repeated. Okay, so I have the mouth opening, and all I did was just a black bar. Frame 3 is where the most change happened. All right, so what I did was I actually had to move his jaw line down. Okay, so you'll notice that the whole jaw line moves down, and the eyes close. And where I like to have them meet is in the middle. Okay, see where I meet in the middle? Also, the eyebrows shift down 1 pixel line. In order to, and then you just have to fill in, the gaps here. So let me show you just with, let's make a copy of this really quick. So just closing the eyes or just opening the mouth, let's say, all right? Use my marquee tool to select what I wanted, drag it down, and fill in using the colors that they give us, right? So here is a mouth, let's say. So when we look at it, it looks like he's singing. I don't know. That could have been a frame. The only thing that I don't like about that is that this part here is disconnected from this part here. So it makes it look like his jaw is disjointed. So I might just manually come in here and make that change. Use these here. And so now that feels a little bit more connected to me. So we could have an animation that goes like this. And it could be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So you get the idea. And so all I did from there was I took my 3 frames of animation. Okay. Put the head where it's supposed to be. All right. And so this would be my first frame. And you see where it says frame 1 copy, frame 2 copy, frame 3 copy? Well, that's just the heads. Frame 1, frame 2, frame 3, and they're just scaled down. All right? So frame 1, which is this one, all right? I duplicated it, and then I said, all right, let's bring it down to, using our transformation tool, make sure you're locking, bring it down to 75%. All right, I'm going to scale everything down to 75%. All right, let's zoom in here. So we lose a lot of detail, but that's okay. Zoomed out, it looks like just a smaller version of this. All right, frame 2. All right, I made a copy of it. Control T, and make sure that the scales, the proportions are linked. 75%. All right, there we go. Look in. You still see, it's got a little bit of darkness there. You can still tell at a distance that the mouth is opening. And then frame 3, same thing. Made a copy. Control T, I should say. Set the proportions, and then check.